My name is Maurice Bolo. I work for the Sinovent Center. At the center, we do research work on science, technology, and innovation policy issues. We also engage in capacity building in terms of offering training and training opportunities on matters of science, technology, and innovation. The reason that the Sinovent Center was founded is largely to answer to the question as to why Africa is investing in science, technology, and innovation, but we are not seeing the results being translated into policy and action.
We talk about influencing policy change, but that's not necessarily the same as expecting that that change will lead to a rewriting of policy, as in a formal policy document. Starting that debate is important. So you've got to think about where you want to influence on the policy cycle.
We are here in this particular training workshop because of a project we are working with called the Science Granting Councils Initiative. Now, the Science Granting Councils Initiative is a multi-year project supported by a multiplicity of donors that have come together to enhance the capacity of African countries through the science granting councils within those countries to influence policy change, to provide policy advice, to manage research, to allow exchange of knowledge, information, and technology between the private and public sectors as well. The councils came up and asked the Sinovent Center, amongst other technical agencies, to guide them on how to translate the research that they fund into policies and help better the policy advice environment. We came up with this training course and we argued that if we are going to make a case to government and to other stakeholders about the importance of translating research that has been funded using public money into products that are going to change livelihoods, then policy and policy influence is our best route. The second thing is that the science granting councils fund research and innovation in the different countries. And therefore, they have to all the time advocate for government to put in more resources and fund more of research and development. But the question keeps coming back to them about where is the return on investment of what we have already given you. So one of the things we are doing is to helping councils then showcase to their stakeholders that the research that they are funding and the investments that we are making are actually showing returns back into the economy. The training is proving to be very relevant to the staff and stakeholders within the SGCI community. And you can see that based on the interactions in the training itself.
I think it is important for us to understand that there is a reason why research is done. And one of the reasons why research is done is trying to solve problems that may be existing. So once you have done the research and you've found the results, it is important that the results inform policy. And sometimes there is a gap between the researchers and the policymakers. So the purpose of this workshop is to train the midwives of research, so to speak, which are the science granting councils, on the art of influencing policy. And basically the whole issue of influencing policy is to try to change or amend practice.
So when it comes to influencing policy, sometimes we have issues. For example, if we are trying to get information from a sector that falls outside our ministry, for example, Ministry of Education, they have their own reporting line. And so that's a coordination role of trying to bring together stakeholders so that we can get, a middle ground on a particular issue, agree on it, and be able to then move forward in advising government in terms of what policy changes should be made. Is one of the challenges that we face.
I think this training is going to build our capacity by giving us the tools which we are going to use to be able to change the manner in which research is funded.
So there is an element of very active engagement. There's an element of peer learning from each other. There's an element of networking that is going to that is taking place. And so at the end of the day, we are expecting that there's going to be a joined up approach between the different countries working together and sharing lessons from each other to better these things in the continent. Our call to action through the councils then is two ways. One is that as we fund the science projects, that we make a requirement that each project that we fund should end up in a policy brief of some sort. The other thing we are saying is that we then need to allocate resources to the researchers that we fund, that they get trained on how to develop those particular communication materials. And then how do you then sell them and advocate for them?